What's up everybody, I'm Abatage and welcome to Spintires. That's right, this game's old. This game is perhaps not good. But with the latest release of Mud Runner, I think it's called, which is the console version of Spintires, which you can also get on PC, I felt like it was due kind of having a look at it and kind of expressing why I think you should pick up the original instead of Mud Runner, because there are a lot of things that this one has that the new one doesn't. Mostly mod support, which is a huge thing for this game because it's so limited in its original form. It's kind of, without mods, this game I'd be saying, yeah, maybe don't pick it up. With mods, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a lot of fun and there's lots of stuff to do. So that's where we're going with this. Because Spintires will have, you know, a look at it in a second, but I just want to say, like, Spintires has had a very tumultuous lifespan where the original dev made it to a point and built the engine and then sold it to someone else who didn't really work on it. They just kind of tried to make money off it, and then I think they sold it to someone else, and then someone else got it, and now Focus Home Interactive have it, so they're like a big publisher, so they put it onto consoles and ported it and added some gamepad controls and basically turned it into what is now Mud Runner, which is a separate product, mind you, rather than just improving the original, which they should have done. However, they've made it, basically cloned it into a new product and added some tweaks and then sold it as something else, which I don't necessarily agree with as far as a way to run it, because this game has never been finished in the first place. So, you know, that's a bit questionable. But it's had a weird lifespan, and it kind of shows in the whole game. So let's have a quick look first, though, at why I think it's better on PC and better with this version. And the first one is mods, because you can see these levels with like level in front of them are mods that I've downloaded, and the rest are the stock maps that you get with the game. So Flood Coast, Hill, Plains, Volcano, and the River are all stock maps that come with the game, and they're well designed and they're, you know, complete experiences. The rest are all mods, and I've downloaded more than this before and tried them before, but mods are a bit hit and miss. Like, some maps are just terrible, some of them are, I don't know, I wasn't pointing to that one on purpose, but actually Northern Route is not a very good map, but regardless. Some maps are just terrible because some maps are awesome, and that's the nature of mods, unfortunately. Like, they're not all going to be winners because they're user-generated content and they're not curated or anything, so it's a bit hit and miss, and you got to kind of weed out the good from the bad. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to just have a quick look at, let's do a new Plains map. But the other thing I wanted to show you was other mods like vehicles. You can see, obviously, these are not licensed, but there's a Toyota Hilux, there's a Lada, there's a Toyota Land Rover, there's a freaking Hummer, there's an ATV thing, there's this thing, a Ford F350, you know, and then there's all these other trucks that kind of look like the ones that are in the game, but are not actually the ones that are in the game. So, you know, what I am going to do is I'm going to add this Hilux, because I like it. And you can see I've now messed up the game balance, because each of these trucks has a particular value, and by adding in this Hilux, which I might actually get rid of that one, you can see it balances it out again. So to make this a balanced kind of experience, you want to stay within the whatever the star rating. So, you know, you're kind of cheating if you change this around, but that's kind of the fun of it. And the point is that oh crap, I forget which one this was. Maybe it was that one? No, 4320, that's what we want. So C4320, there we go. We'll put that back to normal, and we'll do a new game. Yep. So this is a bit of an odd angle to start with, but you know, close up, nothing looks good. Let's just start this engine. We're going to clear ourselves out of here. We're actually going to use the other vehicle. Let's just move this one out of the way. Let's put him over here. And if we go into this view, we can select our other vehicles. Let's get our Hilux. And you might notice I'm using a combination of mouse and gamepad to control this game. Because I use gamepad to move around, but you have to use the mouse in the menus and to select different options and that sort of thing. Because it's unfinished. However, it's still worth playing, so that's why I kind of want to make this video. But the basic premise is, let's have a look at the map here. Basic premise is that you start at a garage with a certain amount of vehicles. And you have this map to explore and complete objectives on. So, there are fuel depots around the place, so you can go over here and refill your vehicle with fuel. You can also come to a garage for a small amount of fuel. It's not going to fill you up completely. There are other vehicles that you can unlock by driving to them, and we'll do that first, probably. There's parts of the map which are blocked due to this cloaking aura, which basically means we need to drive to where it says cloaking, and then it'll uncloak it. There are objectives, which is where we need to deliver lumber to. There's a lumber yard, which is where we get lumber from, and you can see it's on opposite ends of the map. So you pick up lumber down there and you take it to there, obviously with varying differing degrees of difficulty depending on the terrain and the kind of vehicle you have. Like hauling lumber might be easy or difficult. And there's also another garage up here which we can unlock if we take garage points to it. So that means basically driving to this garage with another vehicle. And that's the objectives. Very slim, basically, and every map is the same. The only objectives you will ever have is picking up lumber and delivering it to another location. And then the cloaking, the unlocking other vehicles, and unlocking garages if they're there. Sometimes some maps have them, some maps don't. But that's the basic gist of it. So the first thing we're going to do with our Hilux is we're going to come and unlock this one. You can see now I've switched to my mouse because I need to mark in waypoints. So we're going to go like that to go unlock that B130. But first of all, we're going to customize our vehicle a little. Because one of the cool things you can do at a garage is outfit it with different things. So first of all, we're going to change our tyres to some beefier tyres. We're going to add a snorkel on the front, just because. We're going to add some fuel and tools, so I can do my own repairs and things with that stuff. We're going to add a bull bar. We're going to add a roll bar, because then we can add a jack on that, and you can see that adds 200 repair points. And basically each vehicle has a number which is their durability. So the more you get damaged, the damage fills up, and then you can use these repair points that you're carrying to fix them. So you kind of need it if you're, you know, off doing shit. And we'll put a spare wheel on the back too, which gives us more repair points. However, all this stuff kind of also adds to our weight, and that will affect the handling of the vehicle and that sort of thing. And this is where we start showing off what the original developer had made when they built the engine. Because it's this terrain deformation that is what makes Spintires what it is. And it is beautiful. And it's basically the draw of the entire game, is that you're in these hostile environments, cruising around through this muddy terrain that gets flung up, and look, oh, vehicles getting all dirty, and yeah, it's really cool. We're going to go off-road here. We're going to try and avoid that little pit. And you know, even this is open plain, it's actually quite soft, muddy grass. So we've got to be careful how we get through there. We've just unlocked that vehicle. Awesome. That didn't take too long. That was quite easy. But it would also be a lot more difficult if we didn't have such a direct route. So let's go here, and then let's follow this road up to wherever, and hopefully go for this cloaking next to just kind of get this corner uncovered. And we're probably not going to do the entire map. I'm just going to show you a few things that are cool about this game. But so yeah, the game initially sold itself as, you know, check out this rad terrain deformation because it is rad, and this cool engine that we built is amazing, and you should get into it and drive trucks around and have a good time. And that's essentially what it was during early access, which was a lot of fun. And you can see we're getting some deep mud here. Ooh, look how muddy it is. Oh, so muddy. So muddy. And sometimes you get stuck and you have to winch yourself out. Oh, it's a lot of fun. And you can see if we go from this angle. Oh yeah, look at that go. Very nice. Look at that deformation. It's real kind of. It's really cool. You know, that is the appeal of the game, is getting through this sort of terrain. I mean, we are stuck in the mud right now, but we're still moving, so it's all good. So yeah, that was kind of the whole selling point in the initial version of the game years ago, which you might have seen plenty of people playing back in the day, because it was very popular for a while, as it was something very unique and interesting. And it still is, but because the development cycle has been really weird, it's kind of fallen off most people's radars, I think. Perhaps. I don't know. I don't know anything about sales numbers or anything like that. Perhaps it's not. Maybe it's super popular. I don't know. But it feels about as disjointed as its history has been, if that makes sense. Because basically, they started working on it, and that was cool, and then they decided to sell it to another company. And the other company was like, okay, cool, now we own this thing. And they made a couple of changes to it, I think. They did very little with it, and then kind of went, oh, cool, okay, let's sell it and say it's ready for release. And, you know, don't come at me if I've got some of those details wrong, because I probably have. But essentially, that's kind of what happened. And so you had this unfinished game that was basically just an engine, you know, like basically what you're looking at right now, which is deformation on the ground, and that's about it. Not a lot else to it, and you know, nothing else interesting going on, just some cool ground deformation. We're going to unlock a bit of the map if we drive into here. You know, and funnily enough, that a little bit of ground deformation is not actually that interesting or compelling when you're trying to sell a game. Actually, we'll go this way. Come through here. Because there's nothing to it. Like it's just a sandbox at that point, and there's nothing to it. And unfortunately, it's changed hands like 2 or 3 more times throughout its life cycle, as in different publishers owning it and different development teams working on it, and nothing has really changed. Like, it hasn't. No one kind of. No one's grabbed it and gone, oh, cool, I'm going to take this IP and make it rad. Instead, a lot of people keep taking it and just using it to make some money, and then but never actually improving it. So what we've ended up now with in this PC version of the original Spintires is a version which is a little bit janky. Like, the gamepad is not 100% supported, and you know, you have to kind of switch between gamepad and mouse if you ever want to make stuff happen like this. Like, I've got to put my hand on my mouse, take it off my gamepad if I want to draw waypoints and that sort of thing, so I can keep an eye on where I'm going. Which, you know, it's just a bit. There's a lot missing from it. However, having said that, the plus side is that the original sandbox idea of driving vehicles through deep mud and rivers and over harsh terrain is compelling enough and fleshed out enough and well made enough that can be enough if you're that kind of person. So thankfully I am that kind of person who enjoys this sort of thing, like just bashing through some rivers there, and you know, getting stuck in the mud and having to pull out your winch and drag yourself through different parts of the level, and you know, all that stuff. I quite like it. It's a challenge. It's kind of like an off-road tough challenge that isn't too challenging. As in, I'm able to do it, so it can't be that complex. But it's also quite fun and rewarding to get through a difficult kind of area and overcome some obstacles. So, you know, if you like that sort of thing, and you like that as a sandbox, and you like what you're looking at here, then this could be an enjoyable game for you. However, don't expect anything beyond a bare bones kind of experience, if you know what I mean. Because essentially it's the engine and that's it. There's nothing else on offer here. You know, the only objectives you ever see are somewhere to pick up lumber and somewhere to drop it off, and that's it. And sure, there's these landmarks and stuff on the map which, you know, are motivating me to come check out different areas and, you know, unlock the cloaking on the map and find different vehicles and that sort of thing. But it's just not that interesting, to be honest. to say that it's that fleshed out. I mean, it is. I find it enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but it's hard to recommend beyond it just being a sandbox where the mud reacts in different ways and you have to think about where you're driving. And whoop, there's a bridge there. So, imagine my surprise when Focus Home Interactive eventually bought Spintires and decided to own the IP, and they're a big, respectable publisher, you know. I play a lot of their games. They've published a lot of point-and-click games. They publish a lot of stuff that I enjoy. And, overall, fairly decent stuff. But, so they bought Spintires, and they recently released Mud Runner, a Spintires game. Which sounds interesting because you think, oh, someone actually worked on the Spintires IP and, you know, managed to make something of it. Which sounds pretty cool. And they've improved the game and they've finished it and they've given it a title and, you know, all that. Not exactly what it is. It's basically a port to get the game onto consoles and not a lot else. So even though it is available on PC as well, it's ultimately just a bare bones kind of upgrade to get it functioning on consoles. And if you look at the Steam reviews for Mud Runner as opposed to Spintires, you'll notice a lot of people saying that on PC at least, it's completely a pointless upgrade because all it does is basically add some gamepad support, which obviously is a requirement if you want to put it onto a console, and that's about it. And it adds a few kind of challenges and that sort of stuff to give it some sort of linearity and some sort of mission structure, something beyond just, you know, uncloaking spots like we're doing right now. I don't quite know, and we can probably bush bash our way through to here. Let's see if we can do that. We'll do some real off-road. But, because the game doesn't, on consoles or even on PC, because it doesn't have any mod kind of community or mod support behind it at the moment, it's ultimately a downgrade from the original. Which is kind of what pissed me off about hearing about that. Because I was like, oh cool, a full version of Spintires that's like fleshed out and completed? That sounds amazing. I really like this game. I have a lot of fun with the shit version, which is this version. So maybe I'll have a lot of fun with the completed version. Surely that would be better. But no, apparently it's actually just worse, and there's less to do, and this version is actually the better version. So don't get your hopes up and don't bother buying it. So then I thought, well, why did they release a whole new game? They should have just finished this one, essentially. But, you know, that's where I guess the cynical side of me comes in and says, nah, they're obviously just trying to put it onto consoles, get some more cash, and then put it out to pasture kind of thing. Like, forget it exists. Because it's had such a horrible history, and if you look at the forums for this game on Steam, you'll find a lot of angry people, rightfully so, complaining about bugs and crashes and shit technical support and how No one ever actually fixes anything, and it's just basically a big old mess for some people. I'm lucky in the way that I haven't had any major technical issues with this game. Like, it doesn't crash for me, and it runs fairly well whenever I do play it, and that sort of thing. But it you know, it's worth remembering that for a lot of people it doesn't. So it has a lot of issues that need to be fixed. That for years, a lot of fans of the game have been waiting for someone to pick it up, and a decent publisher or someone to kind of fix all the problems and release it properly. Which I guess hearing Focus Interactive was onto it kind of, you know, that gave a little bit of hope that perhaps that was about to happen, but it ain't gonna happen. Because they just released they cloned it, ported it, and released it as something else entirely, and then said, hey, you should buy that one instead. And will generously give original Spintires owners a discount. Which, you know, whatever. I'm not going to buy it, because this one has so much modding and so much customization behind it that it's perfectly enjoyable for me. So, now that we've kind of gone over the ins and outs and we've unlocked the entire map, or at least uncloaked the entire map, I should say, it's probably time to actually have a look at the actual gameplay. So, let's, I guess, look at what you do. I don't know how to say it, but initially the way I like to play is basically doing what I did then, is go out with a scout vehicle and unlock the entire map and just kind of see what's around. Then I like to unlock any garages, and then I like to do the objectives, like take lumber hither and yon. So what we are going to do is, with this one, or will we use the other one? What are these? These are C22. Yeah, let's use this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a garage trailer on, and we're going to put some garage parts on. And I think that's about it. Fireproof exhaust, might as well, so it doesn't overheat. Let's start her up. And basically, as you can see, this, if I can get it right, this trailer here on the left and this load of garage parts will give us enough points, because they're worth 2 points each, to go to the garage and unlock it, which is where we want to start. So let's do that. Now, it's also going to be difficult because we're pulling a trailer, so the trailer's going to be pulling us down, and we're in a vehicle which is heavier and not as nimble as the Hilux that we were driving around with before. So it's going to be a bit tougher to get through the terrain with this truck. But that's kind of the point. And that's the strength of the game, and the point of the entire game really is, can you make it in this vehicle without any assistance? And we probably need some waypoints actually, so we know where we're going. Where are we going? Okay, yeah, we do want to go up that way. We could probably go like through here, here, here. And then through here and here. And through there. Now we've got the plains. So then we can go... Maybe we should go then this way. And this way. And we can figure it out from there. That's a way to go, anyway. We'll see how it treats us. We might get stuck along the way. But that's where, you know, there's winches and stuff. So if you do get stuck, you can go grab another vehicle and kind of pull yourself out, which is a lot of fun. You can winch yourself to trees to pull yourself through bad situations. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do to kind of recover if you need to. And you can see with this, we didn't even get a problem when we were in the Hilux, but now with the trailer and this big old truck, this soft wet grass is kind of making life difficult for us. And we are getting a little bit we're sinking a little as we go through it. But we're going to follow our waypoints anyway, and hopefully make it to where we want to go. We'll get over these logs. A little bit of a dry track here, which is nice. Come around this way, go over this bridge, and then we'll be back to some plains again. So, and that's kind of like the gameplay loop, is basically managing your vehicle through this rough terrain. And like, we're getting pretty stuck now because I didn't really pay attention to that very well. And we're stuck. And this may be something to get used to. This is where sometimes it helps to look from the front, because you can kind of see, okay, we're dug right in. This will give us a chance to use our winch. So we have our winch points here, and we can attach to whatever. Let's just attach ourselves to that tree, because we want to just pull ourselves out of this mess. Give ourselves a bit more of a footing. There we go. And now we'll disconnect. Start going on. The camera is a beast of its own. And what I mean by that is the camera is, once you get used to it, it's actually quite good for this game. But until then, it's a real unique fucker that, you know, makes life difficult in many ways. So you can see right now we're off to the side of the truck and kind of just looking at it from this angle. That's one of the presets. The other preset is looking from the front here, and then I can move to the back, or the very back, or I can go on the bonnet. And that's about it. The rest I can kind of free move, but it kind of has this weird way of moving around that is unlike any other camera I've used in a game ever before. But like I said, once you get used to it, it's actually quite useful, because there are many times where you need kind of a weird angle to look at a specific part of your truck and figure out what's going on so that you can get out of a situation. So it actually turns out to be a really useful camera, even though it starts off life as being a real pain in the ass and something that's really difficult to understand. It's kind of like, as we go into nighttime here, where you can see sun setting over there. Looks quite nice, I think. But we can turn our lights on. But whenever you turn your headlights on, it kind of lowers the gamma for everything outside of your headlight range. And when you turn them off again, it kind of raises it. So when we get real dark, we'll have another look at that, and you'll see everything will disappear except what's in the headlights. But, you know, it kind of needs to be darker for that to manifest itself. But anyway, let's have another look at the map just to see where we're up to. Okay, so we're there right now. That's alright. And we can continue on through there. And I kind of want to... we want to get up to there. So we kind of want to get up to there. So we kind of want to... yeah, we'll get to this road, take a right, and then try and head north up through there, which will be a bit of a precarious rough patch, but hopefully we'll get through it. See, it's a lot darker now. If we turn on our headlights, see how, especially if we go like this, wait, everything kind of disappears, but then if I turn off my headlights, everything appears a little bit. It's like they've just tweaked the gamma that little bit when you turn your lights on and off. And there's nothing really wrong with that, it's just weird. So I find myself driving at night with no lights on most of the time, because even though this shows me what's ahead, I have real trouble seeing the wheels and seeing where everything is. But if I just turn it off, I've got a perfect view. So why would I bother having it on? And that's what I mean by this game is like, it's really disjointed, man. Like, you can tell it's half cooked and it's only barely edible, if, you know, we want to go with that sort of metaphor. Because there's a lot about it that's just unfinished and You know, it's barely functional in a lot of ways. However, having said that, this is where the headlights are useful, because now I can see what's coming up. Whereas before, it's like, ooh, what is that? So, you know, there are times where it's good. But having said that, it is enjoyable, but you have to understand that no matter what the marketing says, no matter what, you know, anyone says about this game, it is a basic sandbox and nothing more. Okay, so I'm going to just do a little marker here. This looks like a big pile of rocks that are going to be difficult to get through. But we need to go to the right to get there. So these little trees we can just run over. No problem. Get through here. Oh no, it's not rocks, okay. It's just shit. Where's this track that we're aiming for? It's basically right in front of us. I just can't see it. Get through these trees. Okay, let's back this up a little bit. Maybe we should just skip through here. Yeah, we could kind of just head up there to the road. Let's do that. That's probably a bit easier. A bit more... less trees anyway. It's much rockier. A little bit damaged there, but that's okay. But there's trees on the left, so if we need winch points, we can probably find them. This is where being able to see what our front tyres are doing is actually useful. But yeah, if you look at it as 100% a sandbox and nothing else, there's a lot to have fun with here. If you try and think about it as a full product with, you know, compelling mission structure and anything like that that's worthwhile, you're going to be disappointed. I don't know if we'll be able to reach that other tree, but let's have a look here. Yes, good. So this is where some points you just end up winching your way through difficult terrain, because especially when you've got that trailer on the back, it's real hard to get through here without winching. Like, you could probably do it, but it's nothing a good winch can't handle. But that's where, you know, that's part of the tactics, where you have to kind of keep trees in mind. Like, do you want to go down this particular rough road when there's potentially nowhere to winch to? See, this trailer is really causing me trouble here. But we're almost through and we're almost at this road, I believe. Yep, there's a road in front of us. And we'll take this to the garage and unlock the garage, and then we'll probably call it a day. But, yeah. I think the main thing, even though, you know, I really like this game. I like it. It's one of those games that you can kind of play as you switch off and, you know, watch a movie that you've already seen 20 billion times and just kind of zone out. It's that sort of thing. It's like the same reason I'd play Farming Simulator or anything else that's kind of mundane and straightforward and not very challenging. So now we can unload this. And the garage has been unlocked. Hooray! So, you know, that's that. But that's where we're going to leave it on this map. Anyway, so if I can leave you with anything about Spintires, it's that it is fun. It's a lot of fun if it's the kind of thing that you're into. And I know that's a really bad caveat to kind of add, because every game is fun if it's the kind of thing you're into. But the kind of thing that I'm talking about is unfinished, but a decent kind of idea and concept around terrain deformation and that sort of thing. Like, you're not going to find a game that has the same sort of off-road feel that this game has, which I would back up 100%, because even games like off-road and that sort of thing, with muddy terrain and that kind of stuff, it doesn't have the same feel as this one, which feels like you're actually shoving your way through sticky, thick mud instead of just, ooh, this looks soft. If you know what I mean. So, you know, it shines in that sense, and it's really good in that sense. And I would highly recommend it because of that. But if you're after something that's got, yeah, a bit more of a directed experience, like you don't have to just make your own mind up about where you go and what you look at, then you're probably not going to like it. And that's about the sum of it all. So I'd kind of not bother with MudRunner, the new version, because there's, you know, there's just not enough mods and stuff to support it. Whereas this game, a lot of why I even begin to recommend this game is because of all the mod support, and because there's other maps out there to play, there's other vehicles out there to drive, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, think about that if you're thinking about this game, and you can probably pick it up cheap in sales and that sort of thing. Like it's been out for long enough now that no one really gives a shit about it, to be honest. So but it's a really unique and worthwhile experience if it's the kind of thing you think you'd be into. Like if you've seen what you've seen and gone, hey, that looks cool, then maybe it is, because I think it is, and I'm happy playing it. And you know, sometimes it's fun just to kind of breeze through and smash your way through off-road terrain with this amazing, huge, 8-wheeled vehicle that nothing's going to stop it. Other times it's nice to kind of dig your way slowly through a muddy bank by winching yourself to trees and really kind of challenging yourself with a vehicle that's not suited to the path you're on, kind of thing. And, you know, there's all those reasons why it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's Spintires. It's kind of a big shrug of a game, but there's enough in there that is exciting and interesting enough to make it worthwhile, I think. So that's why we just did this video. But that's where I'm going to leave it. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. The other thing I'm going to say at the end here is just a little aside. I've set up another channel called Abatage Live, which is where I'm just basically archiving Twitch streams, because a lot of the time I'll stream just straight gameplay with no commentary, that sort of thing, on Twitch, because at the moment that's kind of just something I'm enjoying doing. And all those videos that I stream onto Twitch will get archived to the Abatage Live channel. If you go to this channel, there'll be a link there to it, or you can just look for Abatage Live. And if that sort of thing interests you, there'll be like a lot of gameplay footage on there after a while of just random stuff. Like, could be playing full levels of Spintires, could be more Warframe, could be a whole bunch of stuff. So, you know, keep your eye out for that if such a thing would interest you. But other than that, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.